Okay, we are going to the next stylistic devices. Firstly, I find flashback as quite interested when Comrade Melusi narrates how he lost his wife in the hands of the Galkumi militias who strangled her. You can check that on page 93. I think my friend, there you have a point.
Okay, thank you, Prudence. I also have another flashback here. In chapter 1, there's a flashback when Miss Mackenzie was saying about his the parents who adopted her, Miss Elspeth Mackenzie, a Scottish missionary who came in Edinburgh. But later he also tells us that her real parents were Gambians, but
we can also find another flashback in the narration on how Libele contested and lost in the presidential election. You can also upload that on page 93.
Okay, I also have another flashback. On page 5, we are told that Fiona reminds us that Dr. Folabi also wrote a book on state failures of the state. You can prove that on page 6. Thank you.
Another style that I found so interesting is dialogue, and there is a conversation between Engineer Tahir and Rahim in which Engineer Tahir was asking Rahim about asking her for a date, in which she turned down. That is evidence in page 119 and page 120. Another conversation is between Tahir and Longwe, in which they were bringing out the history of Libya, and they were talking about the foreigners and indigenous. And another conversation or a dialogue we found out was between the caller or the guide and the 4 strangers who arrived at Seamount Hotel, in which the strangers were Kimani, Engineer Sheriff, Comrade Melusi, and Pastor Chemeka.
In the styles we find irony. It is ironical that the heads of state enjoy their stay in Gambia, yet the Gambians experience pain of their dwelling being demolished. Then, in addition, it is ironical that Dr. Folabi is there to advise the heads of state about yet his own black book, Failure of State, rebukes the leadership of African leaders. Evidence on page 8. It is ironical that Walomu has 3 young wives but still wants to marry Sia, who is 60 years old, and leaves Kimani, a hetman, and he proudly says that old is gold. That is on page 36. We found another style is sarcasm. Asia is sarcastic when she tells her husband he cannot know that money guarantees happiness because he has never had it. Furthermore, she insinuates that it is sarcastic when Walomu tells Kimani that a real bull dies with green grass in its mouth. The other one, it is sarcastic when President Bolgara cuts off Dr. Afolabi by saying, "We will be still here next year by admiring your hands."
Okay, the style I found interesting in this text is proverbial saying. On page 36, when a cat gets into a pigeon coop, it kills all the pigeon it finds, not just those it will eat. It refers to Wolomu, who takes away women those he may not need, like Asia. Another proverb is, a real bull dies with green grass in its mouth. We also find another proverb in page 36, old is gold.
Right, I've really enjoyed your discussions, and I think you need more discussions so that we can learn more from Fathers of Nations, being a new book. Now, one question I'll just ask you students, I'll focus on Kimani. What do you think Kimani makes that is a wrong decision, and how does it affect him?
Yeah, he goes on with this lecturing. Instead, to change. This makes him to lose, making him to lose his wife Asia, and both his daughter Tuni in a road accident.
Maybe she's talked about between remaining as a lecturer affects Kimani.
Because the old car was really rusty, and Asia and Tuni one day asked his father to help him with the car, in which the car was so old that he could not afford to change the engine or whatever, and that caused the accident.
So just or providing.
By providing.
Failure to provide. Alright, I heard from you. You said all is God. Do you have anybody here who can explain to us the relevance of that proverb in Fathers of
Miss Walomo refers to Asia. Though she is old, she is still important to him.
Okay. If you can encourage other students to talk more about Fathers of Nations, because it's a new book, what can you say just to make our viewers focus on fathers?
For those who are going to do Fathers of Nation, this book is not that hard. It is quite interesting and easy, understandable. As long as you have focus with it, actually you can answer every questions that you will be asked. Please just go on it, on details, and get what is suited for you.
Yeah, so welcome to the discussion of fathers.